So, it's becoming obvious to me my mother and stepfather are sexual sadists who got off from torturing me. And I'm going to share with you an example of knowing, my mother's a gaslighting narcissist. I was sharing with her how I have a friend, and this friend sent me over 100 texts last night. He's having problems with his home environment. And my mother asked me, is it all in his head or is it true? I'm like, of course it's not all in his head. And I was speaking about this guy metaphorically as if he was me. My mother was speaking about him like he was sick, like. I'm like, no, you and my stepfather abused me sadistically. You know it. You just won't take accountability for it. You're sexual sadists who got off from torturing me. Admit it. But they try to say, no, it's delusions, it's delusions. No, you're abusive monsters, and everybody knows it. No, this somebody says 100 texts sounds pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. I was more concerned with, I have the phone on silent next to my bed. And I'm like, if I keep getting incoming text messages and the phone's next to my head, is he going to cause brain cancer? I mean, I like this guy. I told him, look, dude, I wish you happiness. I wish you independence. I wish you nothing but the best. But don't text me all throughout the night. I mean, like, please respect my boundaries. Please respect my wishes, dude. But I'm like, I get your home environment's, toxic, and I struggle with my home environment too, but what are you expecting to achieve texting me 100 times? What do you want me to do? You know, you want me to start texting you 100 times? My parents are Satan 666. My parents are monsters. Like, what are you expecting from me? My stepfather's a sexual sadist. My mother gets off sexually from my pain and like, you want me to text you that 100 times? I mean, what do you want me to do? I need independence and happiness too. Somebody says your hair looks great today. I really need a haircut. I'm starting to look like a 1960s hippie. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have the money for it at the moment. Hopefully, I get some for Christmas time. Somebody says you were supportive to the friend, and that's all you can do. That's all you can do. Yeah. So lately, I feel like I've caught my parents red-handed in a lie. There's obviously hidden realities. There's obviously secrets. I want them to communicate. I want them to take accountability. I want them to just say to me, basically, I basically, maybe there really is nothing for them to communicate. I don't know. Maybe this is really all delusions and psychosis, and it's all in my head. I think the one thing that I caught them lying to me about for years was that my stepfather had a real problem with me because of what happened with his daughter 20 to 25 years ago. And my whole family had a real problem with me because of that. That's the one lie that, I didn't think it was a big deal. And in fact, I didn't even think about it hardly ever. But I finally realized they were betraying me in secret because of it. They were, I finally realized there was a big hidden realities regarding it. And that's really the straw that, or the spark that ignited that everything has been deception, lies. They've been villainizing me behind my back. They're deceivers, they're gaslighters, they're monsters. Nothing they're saying really is true. No, there is plenty of evidence they have betrayed me behind my back. Well, I mean, first off, I've always felt animosity and resentment for my stepfather as if he didn't like me. They say, do you have, the best relationship with your stepfather? Of course not. He probably doesn't like you. But that doesn't mean he got off sexually from your pain and suffering. Somebody says try to get along with your parents. You're gonna regret it, when they pass away. Frankly, I'm irate and angry at them. Like today, for example, I go into my mother's part of the house. I feel like she was doing sexual innuendos. I feel like she was narcissistically rage baiting me with the intention to get me to react. And, I'm just avoid them. Just fucking avoid them. I feel like they're sadists. They're liars. They're gaslighters. I should just start texting everybody. Parents, 666, sadists, monsters. I should just. I'm like, hey, dude. If it's really such a nightmare, I mean, I wish for you independence and happiness. What do you want me to do? I mean, obviously, independence and freedom, and that's the key. Getting the hell out of there. I realize you're in a toxic powder keg home environment, but what do you want me to do about it? I realize your home environment's hell on earth. What do you want me to do? I mean, I wish you the best. I wish you the best, dude. La, 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 la. Hey, TB, how art thou, TB? How art thou? We got pizza, pasta, and TB in the house. Somebody says, "Are you looking? Are you looking to having a moment? You're looking frazzled, Andrew." No, I feel like my mother narcissistically rage baits me. Doesn't take accountability for anything. Doesn't communicate about anything. I feel like she's a sadist, and so is my stepfather. But yeah, just the relationship's basically ruined. Sadly, I'm living at their home and I'm dependent on them. But they're fucking liars, and I've caught them in it. They're trying saying, "Oh, is it all in your head? You're delusional. You're delusional." Yeah, am I really though? So it's just yeah. The reason I'm so upset is because my mother just triggered me with her narcissistic rage baiting. But I need to calm down. It's okay. Let's try to be happier and chipper here. Don't react to my mother's negativity. Don't react to my mother's nasty attitude. You know, basically, my mother's got me in an emotional tsunami right now. Uh, you know, Basically, she just wants to say that it's all in my head. Her and my stepfather have been nothing but saintly perfect parents. It's all me. It's all delusional. It's all delusional. Yeah, is it really though? Somebody says, "What kind of tea is that?" It's oolong tea. Yeah, it's delusional. Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, sure it is. It's gaslighting. It's manipulation. It's keeping secrets from me. It's not taking accountability. Yeah, I'm letting the oolong, come into my system here. So I got 3 tea bags. Yeah, I got 3 tea bags in here. Yes. Somebody says, "Let the oolong calm me out of this emotional tsunami. Don't react to my mother's narcissistic rage baiting. Calm down. Toggle the emotional switch to off. Let's get in a happy chipper mood here. Let's get in a happy chipper mood here." Somebody says, "Tea is better for you than coffee. Try to drink tea instead of coffee." Well, I drink coffee in the morning. I figured it's getting late in the day, so I might as well get some tea instead. All right. So he says, "What are your plans for Christmas?" I don't really know what the plans are. Frankly, I don't think I could be around my mother, father, or stepfather. I think the relation, even though I'm living at my mother and stepfather's home, I think it's just best to just lie in bed all day and avoid people, unless one of my friends wants to come over. I'm just, I have no. Somebody says, "Would another family member take you?" And I have no relationship with any other family members besides my mother, father, and stepfather. And frankly, all we do is fight. Somebody says, "Maybe you could try to get into independent housing." Yeah, it's a good idea. I think independent housing might be a good idea. Get out of here because I know the psychopharmacologist described this as a real powder keg. It's a real hostily dependent situation. Um, but yeah. So it says, "Get some Chinese food on Christmas and just lie in bed all day and take walks around the neighborhood. Avoid your mother and stepfather." Basically, the relation. I said my relationship with my father is done. My relationship with my mother and stepfather is done too. I know they've betrayed me. They won't take accountability and admit what they've done, but the relationship's over. I'm just living at their home. Pizza Pasta says, "Sorry, your parents betrayed you like that, buddy." Yeah, it's really hard because now I don't trust anyone, or it's like the Taylor Swift song. I don't trust anyone, or I don't trust anything. I feel like everybody's just a liar and a deceiver and a betrayer. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who I can trust, if anybody. I'm looking at everybody like they're a deceiver and a monster and a betrayer. I'm like, who's being honest with me? Who's being transparent with me? Or maybe it is all me. Maybe it's the way my mind works that's the problem here. Maybe it really is all delusions and psychosis, and there's nothing for my mother and stepfather to take accountability for. Maybe it's all in my head. Maybe there's no difficult conversation to have. Maybe nobody's a nefarious nay doer and a monster behind a mask. Maybe everything's face value. Somebody says, "If you could meet one celebrity, who would you meet?" I feel like after the years of pain and suffering I've lived through, I feel like nobody would impress me anymore. You know how like Justin Bieber narcissistically says, "Oh, wouldn't I wish Anne Frank would have been a believer." After experiencing suffering on that level, I don't think some narcissistic man child's going to be impressive to Anne Frank. Uh, the only one, obviously, I think the only people that might impress me might be the president of the United States of America, because we could, you know, act towards getting reform in this country. Some narcissistic pop superstar who is an egomaniac who dresses in sexy outfits, frankly, isn't going to impress me anymore. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter whoever the president may be, whether it's Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, George W. Bush. I'm not talking about political parties. J.D. Vance. I'm saying somebody who isn't a narcissistic, egomaniac, sensationalistic pop star. Somebody who can reform this country. Those are the only people I'd be interested in meeting at this point. Not some like man child playing like a child, After the horrors I've lived through, it's like, oh my God, it's Taylor Swift. Look what you made me do. Look, like that's not going to impress me, Somebody says, do you vote? I haven't voted in any election, TV says, it wouldn't impress you if Taylor Swift started dancing and sung that right in front of you? Wow, you're a hard man to please. Actually, making a joke, I saw a post on social media. If you get an email saying the following link contains Taylor Swift's Christmas songs, be careful. The link contains Taylor Swift singing Christmas songs, meaning like you think it's going to say the link contains a virus that's going to infect and ruin your computer. But no, it actually contains horrible music. Pizza Pasta says, thank you for explaining the joke. I was a bit unsure. You're welcome, Pizza Pasta. You're welcome. I had to explain the joke for you. That's the beauty. I don't know. TB says he needed the explanation too. Yeah, yes, TB. So do you guys think it's really me who's crazy and do you really think it's delusions and psychosis and I'm going in. Do you really think it's me? Somebody says I want Gordy says, yes, you're the crazy one. You always have been, Andrew. Somebody says it's schizoaffective and nobody's perfect. All right, if you say so, guys. I'm trying to toggle the switch off. There's no denying my mother and stepfather rage bait me and try to get me to react. But I'm coming out of the tailspin now. You guys have cheered me up. Thank you very much for that. You've calmed me down. Trashing Taylor Swift made me laugh a little bit and is getting me out of my, emotional tsunami. Somebody says, obviously a good laugh, walking away is the best, obviously reaction to. Somebody says, you should try having some oolong tea. Yes, oolong tea is helping me. Oolong tea is helping me. Do you guys think I should get a haircut or do you think I should get the 1960s Syd Barrett hair? Like grow it really into an afro. Some people say you're already a vegetable mind, Andrew. You should really go all in and get the Syd Barrett hair. But then again, maybe I'll get money for Christmas and get it. I'm gonna grow my hair for the foreseeable future. I literally got no cash. I literally got no money in the bank, and I'm negative money when it comes to my credit card. So they say cut your hair with what money? I got no money to cut my hair. They say, buzz your head. Maybe I'll get some cash for Christmas. Maybe I'll get $500 for Christmas. Yeah, so I mean, I could probably get my mother to throw me a few bucks for a haircut. I mean, she may do that, but the sauce says, "Get a mohawk, Andrew." No, I mean this. I don't want to look ridiculously. Somebody says you already look ridiculously stupid. Get a haircut. All right, I guess you're right. I guess I need a haircut. I should ask my mother for like. I'm also lazy. I don't feel like waiting. I know the barber I'm going to recently. It's a long wait. I hate waiting for my haircut. I just sit there anxiously looking at all the people getting their haircut in front of me. I'm like a dog salivating for food, waiting for my haircut turn. It's just, I don't know. Somebody says, my relationship with my mother and father is over. No more relationship. But Mom, can I have like $30 for a haircut? Sure, honey. It's like an emotional roller coaster, the relationship, I guess. Somebody says, I'm waiting for your mother to knock on the door with some food. Yeah, I think she's making ham for dinner. Somebody says, you look like a young Tom Cruise, Andrew. Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking pretty handsome. I'm looking pretty handsome. That's for sure. But I got to cut the hair and get some nice new sweaters. Looking like a young Tom Cruise. Looking like a young Tom Cruise. Pizza Pasta says, your sweater game is as impeccable as ever. Thank you, Pizza. Somebody says, where is little Will? I hope he's doing well. I hope so too, TB. I hope so too. And Dave, where is Dave? I don't know where Dave has been, but hopefully they come back someday soon. Pizza Pasta says, the fact that you're looking to grow your sweater collection really speaks to how deep the sweater game you really are. Somebody says, I think, a lot of your inpatients that haven't been around may be in the psychiatric hospital. That's certainly a theory. Maybe they're detained in the psych ward. Fa la 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 la. Anonymous says, you look great in sweaters. Thank you. Thank you. TB says, you should display your sweaters along with your artwork in a New York gallery. All right, guys. I guess I'm gonna peace out here. Hit the bricks. Hit the dusty trail. Unless you got some more questions for me. You got anything else you'd like to ask me, or not really? TB says, can we have a song? Sure. Which one? A song. Who wants a Beach Boys song? A Beach Boys song? Oh, which Beach Boys song? Give me one. We come on this loop, John B. My grandfather and me. Round Nassau town we do roam, drinking all night. Got into a fight. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. So hoist up the John B. sail, see how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore, let me go home. I wanna go home. Why don't they let me go home? Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. The first mate, he got drunk and broke in the captain's trunk. The constable, come and take me away. Sheriff Johnstone, why don't you leave me alone? Yeah. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. So hoist up the John B. sail, see how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore, let me go home. Let me go home. I wanna go home. Well, I feel so broke up, I wanna go home. The boy he caught the fix and threw away all my grits. And then so he says, what's my favorite color? When I was a child, I used to say blue, but that was kind of because of my mother's pressure. I guess I would say red is my favorite color, probably. Or black, but black really isn't a color. Yeah, it really wasn't a good rendition of Sloop John B. I guess it's a hard song to do. I don't know. Yeah, I tried my best. I gave it the old college try. I probably got an F on that assignment, but hey, what are you going to do? Let It Be says, great job singing. I took the Sloop John B class in college. I gave it the try. I didn't really prepare or study for the exam, and I attempted the exam and probably got an F. But hey, I tried. I don't think I'm going to get credit, but TV says, finish with I'm a white guy. I'm a white guy. Whiteness is great. Let's celebrate how I'm a white guy. In the year 2025, so many people are racist against white males. So many people are look down on white males. But it's okay to be a white guy. I'm a white guy. I'm not ashamed anymore. I'm not embarrassed anymore. I wanted to be any other race, any other gender than a white guy. But here's what I want to say. Let's hear it for white guys. There's nothing wrong with being a white guy. I'm a white guy and I'm proud. I'm a white guy and I'm not ashamed anymore. I don't want to. So he says, "Are you a white man?" I'm a white guy. I'm a white guy. Yeah. Woo! That was kind of a half-assed rendition of I'm a White Guy. Pika Pika! Pikachu! Somebody says, have you ever heard of gropers? What isn't that when you... okay, I got a song about groping. So I had a barber, and he told me women like men who go up to them and grab them by the tits. Grab them by the tits. And I get what my barber was trying to say. He was trying to say, have confidence. Don't be self-conscious. Don't be afraid to talk to women, because I was insecure. I was shy. I was timid. I was anxious. But what he actually said is, go up to women and grab them by the tits. Grab them by the tits. If you actually grabbed a woman by the tits, you would go to jail for sexual assault. I mean, maybe in your country that's okay. I don't know. But in America, you can't just go up to a woman you're attracted to and grab her by the tits. Grab her by the tits. I mean, somebody says, was your barber Donald Trump? No, he wasn't. But, they say that's what Trump does. He grabs ladies by the tits. Grabs ladies by the tits. Arthur, oh, shit. Yeah, you can't grab people by the tits, But I think he was making a joke. He was saying, have confidence, you know, uh, don't be self-conscious. I think he was trying, but yeah, what he actually said though was instead of taking risks and being confident around women, he said just go up to women and grab them by the tits. I think he was joking, but I'm serious. Somebody says, there's a few nay-doers in the chat today. There's a few nay-doers, nefarious nay-doers. The nefarious nay-doers can get the hell out of here. Somebody says, what was your friend texting you about last night? Oh, we went over this already. Hopefully he's doing all right. He's a good guy. But it basically his home environment. The nefarious nay-doers. I'm gonna get a sword, and I'm gonna slay and sadistically persecute all of the nefarious nay-doers. The nefarious nay-doers are going down. The nefarious nay-doers are going down. I feel like my family, especially my mother's side, was all a bunch of nefarious nay-doers who are betraying me behind my back. The nay-doers are going down. I'm going to give the nay-doers the old quick release, depending on how sadistic their betrayal was. My father says I am not a nay-doer. And, so I think my father's betrayed me in other ways, but my father says he is not a nefarious nay-doer. My father says he is not a nefarious nay-doer. Obviously, my mother and stepfather are, but my father says he is not. La 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 la. I don't know if he might not be on my side or on I don't know who to trust. It's like the Taylor Swift song. I don't trust anybody or anything. I don't know who's betrayed me and who's being honest and sincere with me. Who's genuinely being honest with me? Is anybody being serious? Is anybody being transparent and honest? Is anybody, genuinely being, face value with me? Somebody says, yes, it's all in your head. It's all delusions. It's all psychosis. The chief persecutor is the way your mind works. Everybody's being honest. Everybody's being transparent. It's you, Andrew. Nobody has betrayed you. Your family wasn't all a bunch of flying monkeys for the nefarious Naydulers, you know? Somebody says your brain. Somebody says it's kind of like you're living in a fantasy world, like Joanne Greenberg in the novel "I Never Promised You a Rose Garden." You know, you're detached from reality. You're living in fantasy. You're living in a schizoaffective fantasy world. It's like an alternate universe. You're alone in your head, deprived of interpersonal relationships. You're living in a daydream land. That's basically what this is. That basically this is what was told to me many years ago. It's like the book "I Never Promised You a Rose Garden." It's somebody who was deprived of interpersonal relationships. His parents weren't listening to him. He had no friends. He was always alone in his head, and he just developed an inner daydream world. And the key to coming out of the delusional daydream world is developing interpersonal relationships, getting a job, getting independence, getting self-esteem in the real world. They say the real world isn't always rainbows and butterflies. It can be quite painful. You can be 38 years old and have never worked for 20 years. And it could be a real blow to your self-esteem, realizing everybody's been living for the past 20 years while you've been in like solitary confinement. But, in order to have a life, you got to accept, the harsh truth that everybody's been living for the past 20 years while you haven't been. And you can make a life for yourself now too. The real world isn't always rainbows and butterflies. Maybe you'll have to get a job at a supermarket working part-time for minimum wage. But in order to have any life, you got to live in the real world. Get off social media, get out of solitude, and get financially independent. Somebody says, I'm the last remaining boy. The last remaining boy. Unless you want to be like at 38. I'm the last remaining boy at 38. My body may change, but my age remains the same. I'm like an 18-year-old mentally. They say though, unless you want to be like Peter Pan, no woman wants to date a Peter Pan man child. Or like no woman wants to date. I mean, I guess women want to date Michael Jackson, but no woman wants to date Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson had money though, so it's kind of like these pop superstars who have plenty of money, so women will still date him even if they're like these like overgrown man children. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at some of these pop superstars. Let's take Justin Bieber for example. Like he's like atrocious looking. He's not that talented, but he has like the sexiest girlfriend there is, and the reason is because he has money. That's really the only thing he has going for him, right? So if I had money, I'd get a girlfriend, even if I can't even function as an independent adult. You get people to clean up after you, and the ladies, the bitches like the money, right? So, somebody says no women are into men who are almost 40 who live at home or are hostily dependent with their parents, are in negative money and scream how their parents are getting off sexually to their pain and suffering. That's just not desirable to women. But if I had money, women would date me because frankly, I'm more talented and handsome than Justin Bieber. Like what does he have that I don't? La 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 la. No, Justin Bieber is just pretty talentless in every way. He was just, I think he just got famous because he was a cute kid, and he really just coasted on that for like 20 years. He's kind of like a plastic person with no talent. So he says, "When will you show us the room behind the refrigerator?" Somebody says, "Andrew, you need your umbop, like Hanson. You need the money to to make yourself money so you can be financially independent and get the ladies, get the job. You need to find a way to make some money. You need to find a way to cash in so you can get out of this hostile, toxic powder keg of a home environment so you can eat delicious foods." They say, or you can find a job working part time at a supermarket for stock for minimum wage. But hopefully, I can cash in and create something that's like an earworm, like Bop, and I can make some money, with some shitty pop song, and I could be financially set. So he says, "How about you get a job working in an office? Stop giving up your daydream. You're not good enough to be a pop star or a movie star, Andrew. Give up the pipe dream and live in the real world." Somebody says, "Are your friends all behind the refrigerator?" Nobody's behind the refrigerator, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing behind the refrigerator. Somebody says, "We have 11 inpatients, now 13 in the psych ward with us." We got 11 inpatients in the psych ward with us. Obviously, I always wanted to act in Hollywood movies. Obviously, I always wanted to be a movie star and a performer. I think some sort of performance job would be my dream, something like a performance artist or something to that effect. I think that's my dream. So he says, "I thought you were a stunt double for Tom Cruise. Hey, I need some money." So somebody says, "Why don't you try to contact, a show like South Park or Family Guy and try to be a voice actor on there?" I said, "Hey, I have no money. If South Park or Family Guy wanted me to be a voice actor, obviously I'd like to make my own show. But hey, I'm pretty desperate for fucking money right now. I don't want people to lowball me and take advantage of my naivety when it comes to the entertainment business. But I'm hurting for money, and if they say you want to be a voice actor for South Park, sure, why not? I'll jump at any opportunity. Obviously, I want to create my own content in my own show, but I'd take any opportunity really." Somebody says, "You've been looking way more fit recently." Yeah, I started running for 20 minutes on the treadmill and walking around, and walking for like an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm doing a lot of exercise. I think the 20 minutes of running really slimmed me down, which is good. That's a good thing, right? The running is what slimmed me down. Somebody says, "Do you think you can make a better show than South Park?" I don't want to sound delusional. I don't want to sound grandiose and narcissistic. I know many years ago, I'm like, "I'm more famous than Howard Stern," and everybody's like, "Is he for real?" He's not going to be more famous than Howard Stern. But realistically, I think I could create something that's worthwhile, that's comedic. That you don't want to sound delusional and grandiose, South Park is a pretty good show, and you don't want to act like what I'm doing is like, like Citizen Kane. It's like the Mona Lisa. What you do? Like I say, when you boil it down, ultimately you're the Long Island naked dude on OnlyFans. It's like stop being arrogant. But I think I can create something worthwhile. Somebody says, the Long Island naked dude. Rusty says, you should change your name on OnlyFans to the Long Island naked dude for real. I guess so, Rusty. Somebody says, I think you would get far more hits. Yeah, for some reason, nobody wants to check me out on OnlyFans. Nobody wants to see the fruits of my body. I guess I'm not a sexy lady in her 20s, but I'm looking pretty fit. I'm looking pretty fit. I'm looking pretty handsome. All right. I used to run marathons in my early 20s. I kind of stopped running when I had my psychiatric hospitalizations in 2011. I still walked a great deal for hours, but I recently started running again. I used to run like marathons daily, probably as much as like Olympic athletes, but somebody says he thinks too much running is what fried his brain. Maybe I didn't eat enough food to sustain the amount of running I was doing, or maybe I didn't hydrate enough. But I know they said, when I was saying to my psychiatrist the running damaged my heart, he says, no, it probably strengthened your heart. You probably had like the Arnold Schwarzenegger heart. Or when I say it caused neurological damage, he says, no, you got yourself physically fit. You were running marathons and it was excessive. And, but running isn't like LSD frying your brain, unless you're not hydrating enough. It's not, if you talk about like running, like it fried your brain, like you're Sid Barrett, I was before the running, I was like sharp, quick-witted, discerning, a genius who was going places. But after I ran marathons for like 5 years, I had black eyes that were black holes in the sky. I had no expression on my face. I could say that about the mega regimen of psychiatric medications too that I took from like 2012 to, I guess, like about, I don't know, November 2022. Before the mega regimen of psychiatric medications, I was sharp, quick-witted, discerning. But then the medications fried the receptors in my brain, fried the neurons. And now I got black holes in the sky for eyes. Somebody says, I didn't know Sid Barrett was ever a runner. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. It's awfully considerate of you to think of me here, and I'm most obliged to you for making it clear that I'm not here. And I never knew the moon could be so big, and I never knew the moon could be so blue. And I'm grateful that you threw away my old shoes and brought me here instead dressed in red. And I'm wondering who could be writing this song. I don't care if the sun don't shine, and I don't care if nothing is mine, and I don't care if I'm nervous with you. I'll do my loving in the winter. Running is the new LSD. So is psychiatric medications. and the sea isn't green, and I love the Queen. And what exactly is a dream? And what exactly is a joke? I have a theory Sid Barrett wasn't even fried from LSD and the whole thing was sensationalistic and he was the main lyricist behind the later albums. That's my theory. Because it seems like Wish You Were Here was written by somebody who blurs fantasy and reality and suffers from delusions. It seems like somebody who is a man child. It seems like The Wall was written by somebody who was socially isolated. And, it seems like the whole thing was written by Sid Barrett, honestly. Somebody with schizophrenia who is a solitary man child. But I think he's the main lyricist behind everything. I think he just couldn't handle the spotlight and limelight. That's my theory. I could be wrong. It could have all been written by Roger Waters, but it's certainly my theory. I think he gave credit to Roger Waters because he couldn't handle the spotlight and limelight. But, I don't think he really fried himself on LSD. Somebody says, Andrew, maybe you should get a cat. Yeah, I think I'm allergic to cats. Maybe I'm allergic to cats. Somebody says, Sid Barrett didn't want the truth to come out, that he was behind all of Pink Floyd. I think it's true, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it really was Roger Waters. La 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 la. Somebody says, Andrew, you can't handle even cleaning up your apartment or watering a plant. Don't get a cat or dog. Don't get a cat or dog. You can't handle that adult responsibility. Learn to take care of yourself first. All right, guys. I did about like 53 minutes. I think I'm going to peace out here. Thanks for watching. Somebody says Roger Waters was lacing Sid's. And he did to all right, Rusty. I don't think Roger Waters was. Somebody says we turned it around, Andrew. You came out. Your mother was getting on your nerves earlier, and you were in an emotional tsunami. But now you're back to happy, chipper, lucid, lovey-dovey, Andrew. The sweetest little bunny on planet Earth. The sweetest, wholesome little llama on planet Earth. Happy and chipper Andrew is back. And on that note, where is my mom with my dinner? So I can say, thank you, Mom. Can I have $30 for a haircut? And then tomorrow I'll say, they're sexual sadists and monsters and betrayers. Somebody says, give us some Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah. You need a little excitement? Snap into a Slim Jim. You need a little excitement? Ooh, yeah. The cream of the crop. Somebody says, thank your mom for the prison food. Thank your mom for the slop she's giving you. I think somebody from a third world country would come over to your house, eat the slop your mother feeds you, and say, wow, this is the most delicious food I've ever eaten. I don't know. My mother's going to come. Here's your slop, honey. Here's your prison food. Here's your dog food. Enjoy your dog food, Andrew. So he says, does your mother still make you chicken nuggets? No, I got pretty grossed out with chicken nuggets and pierogies. My grandmother used to buy Juicy Juice a lot. And the first few times we had Juicy Juice, it was delicious. But then the millionth time we had Juicy Juice, everybody got so fucking sick of it that we wanted to vomit anytime we drank it. Not to say Juicy Juice is bad, but we had it too much. That's what chicken nuggets and pierogies and my mother's eggs are like. I take one bite of the fucking food and I have it like every day for lunch and I want to fucking regurgitate. And she makes it so gross and soggy, but I digress. So he says, at least she tries. She cooks as a favor for you. If you don't like your mother's cooking, go to the supermarket, get your own groceries, and cook for yourself, you know? Yes, that's true. That's true. I mean, she doesn't have to cook for me at all, you know? So he says, make your own food. If you don't like your mother's cooking, go to the supermarket, get your own food, get your own groceries. It's that simple. Somebody says, I can't imagine having no job or responsibilities and still refusing to cook for yourself. What are you doing all day long? Posting on social media and lying in bed. And seeing friends too, and going to the art class. Somebody says, and looking at spicy content and gooning. Yes, that too. Well, let's call a spade here. I've got a real spicy content addiction. After all, I am the Long Island naked dude, right? Let's call a goon, right? Somebody says, has your mother ever caught you mid-goon? I mean, I used to feel like, you know, when I was in her part of the house, my mother and stepfather, I didn't even have privacy to goon by myself. I felt like they could just hear me whenever I would goon, so to speak. You know, I couldn't even go to the bathroom without hearing them say, Kylie, go potty. So, yeah, they knew when I was, you know, doing you know what, but yeah, we have a lot of people living in a really small house. It was just a nightmare. I couldn't even enjoy my gooning sessions, you know? And then while I'm in the middle of gooning, Kylie, go potty! Kylie, go potty! Damn it! I'm trying to look at pictures of, you know, sexy ladies in their 20s and 30s. Stop screaming at the fucking dog. So now whenever I goon, I get PTSD flashbacks to Kylie, go potty. I'm just joking. Somebody says, so you think of your stepfather when you're gooning? No, I was just making a joke because basically saying I had no privacy when I was in their home. All right, guys. I think I'm going to adios and peace out and hit the bricks. I did about an hour. Thanks for watching, guys. This was, somebody says you're still at their home though. Yes, but I have independence in here and space to goon on my own and privacy and silence. At least I'm not hearing my stepfather scream, Carly, go potty, when I'm trying to get pleasure, you know? Okay, adios, guys. And that is what it is.